Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Cordant and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Avowed. So this is a game that I was considering if I wanted to make a playthrough or not for the channel. It is a game made by the same people that made the Pillars of Eternity games, Obsidian Entertainment. And if you know the channel and if you know me, you probably know by now that I am a big fan of Pillars of Eternity. And I guess it's fair to say that I was looking forward to seeing this game come out. Now, my expectations for the game were basically null. I wasn't hyped for the game. I tend to try and not get hyped for games because nowadays there's a lot of disappointment and I don't think it's worth getting hyped for games, honestly. And especially since I heard it was going to be a different style, so it's not a CRPG like Pillars of Eternity, my expectations were just nothing. I wanted to have no expectations because it could either be a cool game, it could be a whatever game, or it could be a bad game. So I didn't want to ruin my experience by getting overly hyped and then disappointed. So I made a poll in the channel asking if people wanted to see this game or not. And the majority of people are not interested in seeing a playthrough of this game. I still want to try it out. And as a couple of people suggested, I tried it out. I picked it up on Game Pass because the price point for this game is actually quite steep. It's more than regular games, let's say. And from what I had seen other people playing, and trailers and stuff like that, I wasn't really sure if it was going to be to my liking, so I didn't want to pay full price. So yeah, Game Pass, I think it was like €1 for 14 days, and I'm just trying it out, seeing if I'd like it. With that said, I'm going to share my thoughts about the game, since I'm actually trying it out, and since I talked about it as a discussion in a channel. I think the first thing we want to mention about Avowed is you can look at this game in two ways. You can look at this game as a new RPG that came out, and if we want to be simplistic and quickly describe it, you could call it like a Skyrim-like RPG, because, you know, you can see some similarities in the way the game plays and looks and whatnot. So you can play it for what it is, without being connected to the whole Pillars of Eternity games. Or the other way of looking at it is as a game that is inside the context of the Pillars of Eternity games. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest and transparent here. I don't think I can be unbiased in that regard. So I am always gonna look at this game as something included in the Pillars of Eternity universe. Naturally, this game plays out in Eora, which is the same world that Pillars of Eternity games play in. So I also have a lot of experience in Pillars of Eternity games. So throughout this video, I am going to be talking about both of them, right? I'm going to be making comparisons. I'm going to, you know, just generally talk about both games, what I expect, what I don't expect, stuff like that. I think we can say right now that I believe people that come to this game without thinking about Pillars of Eternity are probably gonna have a better time with it. And I guess I can explain after showing a bit of combat, since we have some enemies here. We can stealth, we can have stealth kills like this one here. And then the combat is very, you know, similar to something like Skyrim. You have your power attacks and whatnot. And I'll talk a little bit more about it once this ends. So yeah, I think people that come to this game without being in the mindset of, oh, it's gonna be like a follow-up to Pillars of Eternity, I think those people will have a better time. The reason why I say this is, between Avowed and Pillars of Eternity, they play in the same world, but I feel like it's a very different experience playing one game or the other. And I'm obviously not just talking about the actual gameplay, right? So one is a CRPG, you play in isometric view, you basically only use the mouse to control everything. This game is much more action-oriented. I'm not just talking about those differences, which are obviously obvious. What I mean to say is, everything that made the Pillars of Eternity games, or a lot of it at least, I don't feel like it's present in Avowed in the same way or even in a similar way. I guess one of the main aspects is, if you've played or seen Pillars of Eternity 1, and if you haven't, I strongly suggest you do, because it's an excellent game, but it's a much darker type of game. And I don't mean it's not light. What I mean, it's the setting, the theme of the game, the overall atmosphere. It's dark, okay? All of the writing, the world building, the quests, the story, it feels a lot more mature, okay, than what you can find in this one. I think Avowed is made to be a light and fun experience, is what I feel like. So if I'm playing Pillars of Eternity, I sometimes get to thinking about, you know, animancy, the effects of animancy, the whole thing about the souls, the gods. There's a whole thing throughout that story that makes me think about the game and think how it influences the world and the people in it. In Avowed, I started playing the game, and by the way, I've played this game for what, like 5 to 6 hours through multiple sessions. And when I started playing the game, I went into it like for the full experience. I said to myself, I'm gonna read everything, I'm going to enjoy looking at the quests, I'm gonna explore everything there is to explore about the game. And very quickly I kind of became uninterested in what was happening. So multiple NPCs I met, I talked to, I just couldn't get into what they were talking about or what they were worried about or their quests. It just did not pull me into the game. I couldn't really immerse myself in the game that much. So in that sense alone, it's a very different experience from Pillars of Eternity. Then I also feel like everywhere you go, everybody has to make jokes, right? The world is being stricken by some kind of weird blight. People are dying, danger all around, yet everybody is a goddamn jokester. Everybody is, I don't know, they range from indifferent to what's happening to just making jokes about the situation. The game doesn't take itself serious, and I think it can be good if you are looking for just a light, fun experience, and I think it can be poor if you are looking for something a little bit more meaningful. So overall, in terms of gameplay and comparing it with Pillars, if you want, I think, a fun experience where you come in, you kill some stuff, you swing your sword, you cast some spells and whatnot, you shoot some weapons, it can be a fun time. But if you are looking for a meaningful experience where you come out of this game saying, okay, that was a really good story, I felt really immersed with the world and the characters and whatnot, I don't think you're gonna get that out of this game. Something I think also detracts from the overall experience. I think this game is really beautiful. I think there's a lot to be said about the way this game looks. And I'm not just talking about graphics, okay? I'm not one of those people that gives 10 out of 10 to a game just because it has good graphics. That's not the point. But I think the setting, the scenery, right? It's pretty. It's well made. I think it's overall just beautiful, right? We get over here, we have all these wooden structures in an overgrown cave that has cobwebs and whatnot. We have the light shafts to the outside world. We even have this indoor or in-cave library here, which I think is just very cozy and beautiful. And I think the game does that very, very well. Like, I could even say that this picture right here is something I enjoy seeing a lot in games. I think it's really well done. But at the same time, I think the game ruins it for itself. And it does that with its UI. So I'm walking around, right, and I'm looking at this beautiful library, but all of a sudden I have these goddamn blue highlight things all over the place that just completely break the immersion I get from looking at this place, at this room. it takes me out of the experience of looking at this beautiful room. And I get what they're going for, right? They want the player to know there's something to interact with here. Sure, in my opinion, do it in a different way. Don't do it like that. Something that's shining bright blue in my face as I'm exploring is going to detract from my experience. It's gonna make the setting and the scenery worse. So that also detracts from the experience. I think the UI is also very flashy. And just the overall gameplay kind of fits that old theme of more modern games, I guess you could call them. And it kind of makes it feel generic, right? The marker over there telling me where I have to go, the flashy bar on the bottom here, all of the flashy stuff on the left. I think it's a bit much, and it takes me out of the experience of just taking in the world, which I think is a mistake. I think it's a mistake. I think it's 6 years and it detracts from the experience of playing and enjoying this game. The combat, by the way, I think also feels very basic. I mean, we saw a little example over there with the spiders. I guess we have some more combat over here. But it's just, you know, you charge in, you strike enemies, you have your stamina bar, you can even parry if you have talents, because everything has to have parry nowadays. And, like, again, you can have some fun with it, right? It's not super horrible and awful experience, but I come out of a fight like this feeling like nothing really happened. Like, I'm just doing... It just feels generic. I don't know how to explain it any better, it just feels very generic.
That was fun.
The companions also, you can't really control them, they're just there. You have a couple of skills you can use from them, but that's about it, you can't really control them. Especially if you're thinking about Pillars of Eternity where you control everything they do. Over here you don't. They just kind of follow you around, they do their own thing, and you can use some of their skills, but that's about it. And something else I think is kind of poor, especially again if we're trying to think about Pillars of Eternity, is the character itself, like the building of the character. So we have abilities, and we can choose between fighter, ranger, or wizard. We cannot choose for anything else. And if you know Pillars of Eternity, you know that we have ciphers, we have rogues, we have monks, we have chanters, we have paladins, we have barbarians. So a lot of the classes that exist in the Pillars of Eternity world don't exist in this game. And the ones that do exist are simplified, right? Not only that, your role-playing is kind of limited. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, it's probably for story reasons, sure, but you can only play as a godlike. You can't play as a human, or an Almawa, or as an Orlan that I was really looking forward to playing as an Orlan. I don't have that option. I can only play as a godlike, which to my sadness, it's pretty much my least favorite race in the game, or in the universe, it's the godlikes. And you can only pick this. I think the reason why they do this is to make the game simpler and more accessible for people, I guess. Because everything is simplified, everything is very simple in the way it plays out, and unlike Pillars of Eternity, you don't have to stick with a single class or with a specific multi-class. In this game, you can pretty much pick and choose whatever you want from either of these 3 trees. 3 trees. Rud 3 trees. So you can be a fighter with some points in Ranger and some points in Wizard. You can mix and match however you like. So if you like having, you know, multiple talents from different trees, sure, you can do it here. Especially because, like, if you were playing this like a CRPG or Pillars of Eternity, and your character is, let's say, a pure wizard or a pure fighter, you might feel like you are lacking a lot of potential, which in Pillars is made up for by having companions. In this game, not so much, because it's very basic the way you can control them. So yeah, I think that's just my brief thoughts on the game. I don't want to make this video overly long, because again, this is not like a review after 100%, it's after playing a couple of hours. And overall, I am not going to be playing this game for the channel. I won't make a playthrough for it. I might play it by myself here and then if I just want to play a little bit and have some fun slashing some enemies for a basic light experience. But I will do that probably once this game goes on sale much later on, because right now it's way too expensive for what it is, in my opinion. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I think if you are looking for just a fun, light experience playing an RPG, I think Avowed can be a good fit for you. If you are looking for a more meaningful experience, more in-depth kind of, you know, story and control of the party and character building and customization and whatnot, especially if you are thinking about Pillars of Eternity while playing this game, you might get disappointed. But yeah, overall, I don't think there's anything overly bad with the game, and I'm leaving politics out of this video. Okay, I don't think we have to go there right now. But I think there's nothing necessarily bad with the game. It's just a fun, light game to play. Again, I just wouldn't expect to have like a Pillars of Eternity 3 level of quality in this game. That's it for this video, my friends. As always, I want to thank you for being here with me for this small video. I hope it was helpful. And, you know, just so you guys know my thoughts about the game, since I asked for your opinion as well in the poll. Questions, suggestions, anything at all, leave a comment below. If you enjoy the content, consider subscribing for more. Many other videos coming out soon. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Until then, stay safe, everyone.